Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's video is an album review on Republic by New Order. This is an interesting review because, well, at first I thought it was kind of an interesting review, and then as I did the album, I was like, well, I guess maybe it was a touch lower than I thought it would be. I feel like I want to rate it higher, but when then I listened to it, I was like, oh, okay, well, it's probably where it needs to be. This is kind of this is probably a mostly disliked album in Order's catalog by people that are longtime fans like myself. I'm not as harsh as maybe other people are, but I can see what the opinions are, and I can understand the opinions. I might have a little bit different opinions on some things, but I think overall it's pretty similar. Although I think I'm a little bit more forgiving on this just because I do like some of the dance songs on here. But having said that, it's missing some it's missing some it's missing some things, and it's and I have some critiques on it and a little bit of thoughts, and then a kind of a eye opening. I never really thought about it because I never really rated a full album like New Order. And doing this is not, and that's kind of the fun of doing these reviews is these album reviews is it kind of makes me think differently about some albums. That kind of challenges how I think about and how I remember this album. This album came out in 1993. I actually saw them on tour for this album. I saw them at Hollywood Bowl. I think it was the summer of 1993. I was 17 years old. 808 State opened up for him, and then also X was there as well. It was interesting because that was probably I'd seen some rave music before. Like I've been in Florida, and I went to my first sort of rave on the beach in like 1992, and that's where I first heard the music, heard term rave, even though I was already into techno and instrumental music. There was this girl that I met on the beach in Florida, and I hanged out with a couple friends I met out there, and a couple cool cats from Tennessee, and we were kind of chasing girls and stuff like that, and um, stuff like that, and came across these girls from England, and they had a boombox, and they were like, "Do you like rave music?" And we were like, "I don't know what's rave music," and she put it on, and it was. Looking back on it, it was very kind of ravey, and I was like, "Oh, you mean techno?" And she goes, "No, this is rave music." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, like, okay, you call it rave, I call it techno. I don't, I just." And then I get it. Like it's just it was, it probably was a little more hardcore. You know, um, I guess 1992 it could have been a little bit more. Uh, hardcore and ravey than techno. I can make that assessment now. That looking back, like I do feel like there's certainly some rave music, and it's different than techno, and also different of what techno is like. If you look at like maybe something like Messiah or something was sort of on the more Lords of Acid. Something was like techno, but more on the popular side. I guess you could say that was rave stuff, and then that was still techno, even though the energy was kind of the same. Maybe not as samples and breakbeat and hardcore and piano drops and piano leads and stuff like that, like rave music was. So I see the difference now. Not necessarily now, but I've over the years I've seen that difference now. But it was funny at the time because I was just like, well, it's just techno, and in a way, it kind of is just techno. But yeah, that was interesting, and I'd been to some some raves and some parties and stuff like that. But when 808 State came out and they played Mind Bomb, which was the latest single, it was probably the more ravey one on Gorgeous, on the album Gorgeous by 808 State. I was already a big 808 State by the time they came out, so I was excited to see them live, and But I hadn't heard at that time. I hadn't heard "Gorgeous." Like I heard the the 90, and then I knew Excel, of course, and I knew a little bit of New Build and pre-build that era. But I didn't. I hadn't gotten "Gorgeous" yet. In fact, since it came out in '93, maybe "Gorgeous" wasn't even out yet, or maybe it was out for a month or two. But I probably got it shortly after. But so when they played the songs from "Gorgeous," I didn't know them, and but when they played "Time Bomb," I was just like looking around, and people were like raving. Like it wasn't even like dark out yet. It was, they were middle band. It was probably like 8 o'clock on a summer day. It was probably just getting dusk and stuff at Hollywood Bowl, and obviously not a rave environment at all at Hollywood Bowl. But people were kind of going off, and I was like looking around. I was like, oh, these people are kind of going off a little bit more crazy than just like dancing. I was like, what are they on? And but yeah, it was. It turned out to be, well, everything was fine when X came on and the NATO at State, but then when New Order came on, um, it was just really bad engineering. You couldn't hear the lyrics. It was so bad. We were like front and center, probably like midway up, and you couldn't hear the lyrics. It was so bad that you heard everybody singing the songs over the lyrics, and it was just made for a really bad concert. And Hollywood Bowl isn't the ideal acoustic place for maybe New Order at the time. I'm sure they upgraded Hollywood Bowl, in the later '90s, but in the early '90s, it was probably not all that great. And I saw New Order at Irvine Meadows in '89, and that's it has a little bit of a forest behind it. It was more of more of an intimate stage. The sound could get trapped. It was a little bit the grass section was a little bit more steep, so it's a little bit more intimate, a little bit smaller, less you know less cement, so more acoustic, just more ideally a better album. And so I remember that more fondly than the '93 album, and especially because you couldn't hear them singing, so it was just really bad. So that was the last time I saw New Order, and after '89 and then '93, I was like, I'm never going to see New Order again. And because in '89 it was one of my first concerts, and they kind of fluffed it off, and it took them a while to come out for the encore, if I remember correctly, and then they kind of like half-assed it, which they generally like to do because they were either fucked up or just being dicks. I don't know, just how New Order is live sometimes. But yeah, that's a big disappointment on them live. People go see them, and I was a kid and all excited, and then you're like, I can't even hear his voice. Like, it sucks. So yeah, so I kind of want to review the album and then review the songs and then give you my overall opinion and score. So starting off, first song, "Regret." Obviously, catchy intro, some of the better lyrics. I'm reading my notes here, so bear with me. Um, Very good chorus. It's kind of the perfect pop song. I know a lot of people think about like "True Faith" and like that's the ideal New Order song, and I can see that and agree with that. Even though "True Faith" probably isn't even in my top 10 New Order songs. Same thing with "Regret." Probably not in my top 10 favorite songs, but it is kind of a perfect pop song. Maybe a little bit more acoustic, and then "True Faith" is a little more electronic. It's got the traditional, you know, uh, New Order guitar. It has that sound. Kind of has a sing along feel with the acoustic guitar and just kind of the. It's just really catchy. It gets in your head, it makes you want to sing it. The bass is perfect for the song. It's really their last big hit in America. Drums are a little bit flat. I noticed that. The ending is really memorable. Great ending. The way it ends is really nice. I give it 4 stars. I mean, it's an excellent song. No doubt. It can't be denied. Uh, um, I can't fault it in really anything except maybe the drums are a little flat, but can't really fault it. It's kind of a really excellent pop song. Then you got "World," which was the second single on the album. Price of Love. Solid dance track. Pretty good beat. I like the keyboard. Pretty good chorus. Kind of corny. I do like the verses music wise. The lyrics aren't bad. I like the keyboard throughout. I really like the bridge at the end. Guitar really goes well. It builds up nice to a big ending, kind of like Round and Round or Blue Monday in a way. And that's one thing I noticed about that later on in this album. Maybe this one did it too, but I didn't really notice it by the end. But when New Order does a more dance song and they go through to a third verse, it doesn't work. I think as well as it being a more of a bridge and a long extended kind of instrumental part, and then kind of going to a bridge or just going straight to the last chorus and fading out. And World doesn't do that, so it's generally on the more liked um, ending for a song, where there's a couple songs at the end that don't do it, and then something like Special does do it, and it's nice. So I'll go a little bit over that a little bit at the end when it kind of comes into the into effect, like three songs at the end. But now that I'm kind of going back over this again and re-going over, I do notice that that was one of the things I did like about World was, since I like the verses and the choruses aren't bad, sometimes the bridge can be really good for New Order, and sometimes it's an electronic bridge, and it kind of plays with the melody, kind of a breakdown, then kind of builds it up, plays the melody, a little bit of beat, and kind of goes into a bridge or goes into the chorus and kind of builds up and ends, and that's kind of a nice crescendo to the ending versus kind of going out of the second chorus and then kind of going back into an instrumental and then kind of going back into a verse again for the third time and then kind of building it up for the ending. It's kind of up, down, or I'm sorry, down, up, and then down, and then it goes up again to the end. And after it goes down the third time, you're kind of like, well, it can't go all the way up again. But if it goes and then it doesn't go down and sort of stays in the middle, and then it kind of it's easier to elevate it to the end. And I kind of like that about New Order songs. And I haven't looked, I haven't thought of this in the past because I just noticed this because I'm doing a review on this now. But I wonder if some other songs do that in New Order, and that really kind of, like True Faith or Blue Monday, for example. I don't know if Blue Monday has the third chorus. So it'd be interesting to kind of, I'll keep that in mind as I listen to some other New Order songs. Round and Round would be an interesting one if it goes to a third verse. I don't know if it does, but that one's a little bit more concise, so maybe it does and still kind of is able to. But Round and Round doesn't quite have the crescendo that like World does, or Special, or or Blue Monday especially. But yeah. So what else about World? Um, I like the piano at the end. Of course, I'm a big fan of the fade out. I love the fade out. It fades out really nice. I got it 3.5 star. I know a lot of people think this is maybe kind of a weaker single, but it kind of is if you compare a lot of the singles throughout their career to this point. But I got it 3.5 stars. I really like it. It's a touch corny, but um, I don't like it enough to put it in the excellent category. But it's definitely in the middle of very good, on the leaning on the higher side of very good for sure. Ruined in a Day, the third track, which I think was also a B side of Spooky. They put it on B side Spooky, or maybe it was World, but because I think maybe they did a remix on it on Spooky. But solid guitar. I really like the harmony and the melody. I really like the way Bernard Sumner's singing on it. It has really nice pacing on it. He's kind of singing it kind of softly. The beat is a little dated, and the beat is dated on quite a few of these songs. Not a lot, but not to the extreme. But there's some dated beats on here for sure. But it's fine. The chimes and the bells are really nice. Solid chorus. Keyboards are really nice. Nice strings. Kind of reminds me of Dream Attack from their '89 album Technique. The fade out could be better. It just kind of ends on the beat and kind of just fades out real quick. It's kind of short and sweet, but maybe it could have been longer. I got it 3.25 songs. Uh, it's like 3.5 minutes. Maybe it could have gone on a little bit longer and developed the strings more, and maybe been a nicer ending, and maybe put it towards the end of the album versus kind of in the middle of the beginning. But this could have been I think, a more sussed out track. Um, but as it is, it's really good. I think it's underrated in a lot of respect. I got 3.25 stars. Spooky, which was also a single, sounds a little dated. I do like some of the remixes I have the the maxi single. I really I do like some. Oh yes, the keyboard is nice. The lyrics aren't bad. It's solid. The more dancey parts are a bit dated. It reminds me of Electronics album. Their second album, Raise the Pressure, the green one, if you know it, kind of reminds me of that, where they're kind of going into a little bit of rave stuff, and it kind of sounds a little dated, unfortunately. Um, I like the chorus. It's simple, very New Order. Strings are nice. Kind of runs out of steam at the end for me. Excuse me, there's a little bug on my screen. Kind of runs out of steam. Um, I got it 2 3/4. I was debating all through it. Through was this going to be 3/4 or 2 3/4? Kind of ran out of steam at the end, so 2 3/4. Then the fifth track, Everyone Everywhere, dated beat again. It's an okay track. Chorus is pretty good. Kind of a nice sing along. Just kind of not really good enough song to be on an album. I feel like kind of has more like a B side. I kind of got bored by the end. Kind of tuned it out, which is really rare. I don't even remember the last minute. Might have fast forwarded the last 30 seconds and just ended it. It's kind of rare for me to kind of get bored of a New Order song. That's pretty rare. But I gave it 2.25 stars, so a little bit better than okay. You know, not good, not certainly good by any stretch, but it's a little bit better than okay. It has some good parts, but just kind of whatever. Young Offender. I think they kind of fell in love with this track, and it kind of doesn't work fully for me. It's got a good dance groove. I like the beat's catchy. I like the bridge. Chorus okay. It's decent. It's kind of catchy, but just really doesn't really make you want to come back to it. It's kind of a chore to listen to. I got it 2.5 stars. A little bit better than the last one, but kind of right in the good. But you know, kind of leaning on okay. I might put it a little bit lower, but I don't think it'll affect the overall score. But I do feel like I kind of want to I'm going to put it 2.25 stars just because I think it's about equal with the last one, which was kind of fairly forgettable. Liar. I think this is one of the better songs on the album. It's smooth. I like the way Bernard sings it. It's got a cool beat, great keyboards. The synth is really good. The synths are really good. I really like the chorus, great bass line. It reminds me of Reality, the second track on Electronics' debut album, because the it's kind of all smooth, and then the chorus is really kind of big and dancey, and I really like the song. You gotta love the oohs and ahs at the end, the ooh and the girl ah, and they kind of accentuate the melody and the harmony. Excuse me. It has a little bit of Mr. Disco instrumental in the second half, which if you saw my review or whenever I review Technique, I love the music in Mr. Disco. I think it's one of the most underrated New Order songs. I think it's so catchy. I think it's so cool. It's a very basic, track, but it's, as far as the lyrics and the chorus and stuff like that. But some of the instrumental on Mr. Disco is I think it's phenomenal. I think it's 808 Machine Love. I think it's fantastic. And this has, Liar has a little bit of Mr. Disco instrumental in the second half. And that's kind of New Order. That kind of, no, this is the one I was talking about, no third chorus. It repeats, it goes, um, you could say not enough lyrics. I kind of put that, like, somebody might say that, but I think it makes for a great instrumental. It's not an instrumental, but The guitar riffs, the key licks are cool. The organ sound they add is cool. But around 250 in the track, that part right there, and then it goes into a sort of musical bridge, and then it has no chorus. It it goes back into the chorus for the end. I think it really kind of keeps it going from feeling like there's a lull in the song. It keeps it high energy, even though it's a smooth track. It still kind of keeps it on the like the feel good, like makes it more like a feel good song, happier, dancey. You know what I mean? Like if it's got like a pretty chorus, like Special does coming up, or Liar, the melody, like you want to keep it in the upper echelon. So if they add like the melody goes to another octave, or they add something else, then it's even better, right? So it's I look for that in the order songs. That's kind of like one of the things they do well, and on Liar, they do a good job of that. It works. I gave it 3 and 3/4 stars, my second best rating on the album. Um, it's really close to 4 stars, but can't say it's an excellent song. It's really close, really close. Then you have Chemical, a bit ravey, maybe too forward thinking at the time. Now it sounds dated. Reminds me of World in Motion. Not really great, not really bad, just kind of like maybe I wouldn't say it's trying too hard. I would say um, World in Motion might have been trying too hard, but the chorus, the chanting, perfect example. For the third chorus, it just kind of it went to a third chorus and it became a little lackluster, and then it just became a poor ending. I gave it 1 and 3/4 songs. It's the worst song on the album, Chemical. Um, then you have Times Change, another kind of dated beat. Good bass line though. He's Bernard sings it like Chris Lowe from Pet Shop Boys. It kind of sings like a We All Feel Better in the Dark. If you know that track, I wouldn't say he's rapping on it, but it does sound like Feel Every Beat by Electronic. Um, the keyboard bridge is kind of nice. It's got some potential, but then it doesn't really get there. I got 2 and 3/4 stars. It's close to being. It's good. It's just not very good. Um, then you have Special. The guitar is kind of like Regret, where it's just that classic kind of guitar. Keyboards are nice. I like the build up. Chorus is okay. Just kind of says it's special, which isn't really special. but the melody is great. The piano, it's pretty. No third chorus. Went to the bridge, and it worked. Kept the momentum. Kept the melody. Ended out being memorable. I got it 3 and 3/4 stars, so I got it equal to Liar. And then Avalanche ends the album on like a 3 minute instrumental. It's pretty good actually. It's kind of like if you guys know Elegia, not as good as that, but I think that was from Low Life, right? Or is it Brotherhood? I always forget which album it's from, but it has that kind of instrumental. It has a good kind of couple good sounds in here. The melodies is good. I don't I don't know if I really rate it. Probably got 2 and 3/4 stars. It's almost 3 stars. I did have it 3 stars, but it's really that melody that I feel like I pushed it up 3 stars. But overall, it's I don't think it's quite there to very good. So I put it back down to 2 and 3/4 right now. But again, I don't think that affects the overall score of it. So yeah, my overall opinion on it. Um, I think there's quite a few very good songs. Enriqueta is one of their best pop songs again. Some very good supporting dance songs in Liar, Special, and World. Ruin Your Day is one of their underrated songs, I feel like. But after those 5 tracks, it hurts. There's, you know, um, I have question mark. Are the parts are better than the sum? Maybe that's why a lot of people kind of frown upon this album and think it's kind of not a great highlight in their career. Um, I think Bernard does some of his better singing on this album. Maybe not the most emotional or impactful, but I feel like his. I feel like the tone of his voice is really good on this album. It doesn't necessarily hit any awkward points, and maybe that could be because one of the concerns I have on that, where I'll explain in a second. Maybe that's why he doesn't hit any concerning, challenging notes. Um, you know, the production was a little flat, lacks a little bit of dynamics. Um, you know, I would think in 4 years from Technique that the production would be better, and it really, I think that all the instruments sound, well in the mix, and it's just a little flat and it's lacking dynamic. So I would have thought that, it would have been a little bit more dynamic. I think it's 4 years later than Technique. I don't know if it's really Technique. There's less. There's a little bit more minimal. There's not as much going on. There's no strings, and it's less ravey, and so I feel like this should benefit from it being a little bit more dynamic, but I don't think it does. Um, yeah, what else is bad about the album or challenging? The drums are kind of weakly recorded, and I don't mean yeah, the drums. Yeah, the drums are a little flat. They're a little weak. They're a little weak. Is it too polished? Question mark. Is it missing some angst? Is it missing the roots of being sarcastic and does it nail down the feeling of lost love and I don't get into New Order's lyrics a lot, but there is a feeling of loneliness in New Order's lyrics and feeling like he messes up and misses his chance and uh, wishes he did something differently or wishes he would have done something at all. That's that kind of emptiness of looking back on it, very retrospective in some ways. And I feel like does this kind of miss that opportunity because it doesn't really hit home as much as on like the prime of their career, where you hear the lyrics and they stand out a little bit more. I don't know if the lyrics really stand out because there's so much production and so much dance music going on in this album. Um, there's a lack of aggressiveness on the rock side. Does that hurt it? It kind of goes into the ravey, but does it lack aggressiveness on the rock side? Just question marks. Um, there really isn't that. The one thing this album is definitely missing is there really isn't that really clever, long, drawn out, amazing song like Blue Monday or Perfect Kiss or Vanishing Point. If you guys know Technique, there really isn't that long, drawn out kind of in a good way, kind of electronic, where you're like, this is vintage, uh, this is vintage New Order. There's some parts where you're like on Liar. I feel like, oh, this is smooth. This definitely sounds like New Order, but it doesn't really have that kind of Regret has that like feel of regret. I mean, Regret has that feel of like True Faith, but it doesn't really have that bizarre love triangle kind of like moment or that really kind of like this is a great song. It doesn't really have that. It also why my fan starting on my all of a sudden my fan went on really high on my laptop. Must have been getting a little heated and charging at the same time. Um, it also doesn't have the catchy electronic song. Ruin Your Day is kind of it's an electronic song, but it's laid back and it could be that, but it's more electronic. Age of Consent, Love Vigilantes, Run, Loveless. It doesn't have that kind of that more acoustic kind of poppy, kind of like Regret, but it doesn't really have that kind of secondary song to really kind of help the album. Instead of it goes a little bit too many electronic songs. I mean, like electronic, really, there is a lot of trying to be electronic in here. But maybe too many dance songs on here. Like, I think if they took out Everyone Everywhere, which is a B side, take out Young Offender, and then maybe take out Chemical as well, and then maybe do a better job on Times Change, and maybe add 3 songs that were a little bit like Love Vigilantes, or, and I'm not saying I love Vigilantes. I mean, I do like an all dancey album, but Technique has a much better flow, and maybe if it doesn't have as good a flow, all the songs are good. All the songs are good on Technique. So I feel like that's kind of the missed opportunity on this album. But having said that, when I look at the ratings, I have one song at 4 stars. I have 4 songs that are above 3 stars. I have 4 songs that are in the 2 star to 3 star range, and I have one at under 1 star, or I'm sorry, above 1 star, and it's at 1 3/4. So 5 above very good, 5 below very good. It's right on the edge. So since there's a 4 star song in there and there's only one that's below 2, I have it at barely above very good at 71 out of 100. So yeah, that's my rating, 71 out of 100. But the funny thing is that this is the first album that's really challenged my very good rating, my 70 to 80. The way my ranking is, and you can look in my notes on my scoring, I have 90 to 100 at all time classic, and again, my reason for this is everything's bumped up about 10 points. D is passing for me, because I have D as okay. 60 to 69 is is good. So again, 90 to 100 is classic. 80 to 89 is excellent, and then 70 to 79 is very good, and then 60 to 69 is good. Then 50 to 59 is okay. So this is the first one that kind of challenged it, because I was right on the edge of very good and good. I don't know if this album feels very good to me, but it's at the very lowest part of it. It's right at the edge, 71. Maybe I could put it at 70 because I did just drop it a quarter points. In fact, I'll probably do that, now looking back. I did lower the instrumental by a quarter star, and one of the other ones by a quarter star, a Young Offender. So I will go 70 out of 100. So right on the edge, and maybe I do feel like it's very good because there's some, I got 4 songs that are 3.5 and above, so it's, that's almost half the album in the higher very good range. So I feel like the highs on this help it from being better than good. Maybe that's my rationing for that, but it's right on the edge. Thankfully, there's no horrible songs on here. If there was a horrible song or two, that would definitely push it below. But considering there's only one that's below okay, and it's not much below it, and in fact, it's close to being okay. So yeah, I got it 70 out of 100. But yeah, I'm just curious to end this and not ramble on like I normally do. What's your favorite 3 songs from this album, and what would you rate it out of 100? All right, thanks for watching today's show. Or is it a show? It's not really it's a YouTube video, I guess, right? Thanks for watching today's YouTube video.